starting the recording here. So this is our February 20th AIPAC meeting. Just to set the recording off here.
Thanks for printing those, Sheila.
It's just the same thing. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I just requested that.
Yeah, I think they gave it to us at the last meeting in January.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know we were reviewing them all. I don't know if Mom wanted a copy or.
So we think everybody's here that's going to come?
So Brian or Ryan are
Where?
having a drum
They were on the email. They were aware.
I'm not sure which.
I can just look at Mom's. I think Nick has class on Thursdays.
Oh.
I could send a message to Nate to see if he's coming. She needs a copy of that.
All right. Well, it's 5:07. I'm going to call the meeting to order. I am Amber Lightfoot, the co-chair of the AIPAC committee here. And while we all in this room know each other, but I don't think that Jordan knows everybody, why don't we just go around and just introduce our names and how long we've been on the committee, I guess. I don't know. Whatever you want to say. Just say hi. I don't know. So, if you want to go first.
This way, though?
You want to go first? No. All right,
I'll go
Sheila.
first.
Oh, hi. Sheila White, coordinator for American Indian Education. Started.
I didn't think you want to go first.
My name's Jordan. Is he getting pronounced? And I'm the health equity director here at AIPAC.
Hi, I'm Jill. Oh, and I'm a student rep.
Where do you go
Yeah,
to school?
Tim Paul and Aaron, committee member.
Yeah, this is Jameson, grandson, hanging around. Mom is working, so. And I'm Phyllis Cole, also a committee member. So.
Hi, I'm Emma Boje, and I'm a student rep. I'm Amber Green Sky. I'm one of the co-chairs, part of the committee for a little over a year.
Bonjour, I'm Lydia Schinkel. I have a ninth grader at Denfeld and a Head Start student out at Lester Park. And I've been on the committee for about 9 or 10 years. Thanks for letting us use the space, by the way.
You're welcome anytime.
All right. Well, I guess let's dive in. Everybody has a copy of last year's resolution of non-concurrence in front of them. And I think that we should start by reviewing this and just kind of work from there. So I do apologize. I am a bit frazzled today. What's that?
We didn't.
What?
We didn't introduce.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Who's online? You want to talk?
Hello, everybody. I'm at home. Thank you for accommodating and taking up class really well. I have a kidney infection. Anyhow, I am the mature representative on this committee, and I've been around for so many years. I'm a really happy teacher for Duluth Public Schools. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Thanks, Brenda. Forgot about you.
Sorry when I put a bunch of raindrops onto something.
All right. So the 23-24 response to the vote and resolution of non-concurrence, our recommendation recommended committee members tour sites with American Indian liaisons to get a better feel for what the liaisons do for our students. And the response was, we're working to schedule a tour for each of our committee members. Has anybody went on a tour?
I responded to every email. I gave broad availability and just was dropped.
It says that they were reaching out to the Indigenous Commission. I'm a commissioner and nobody reached out to me. And I don't recall it ever coming up at the commission. I'm the chair of the education subcommittee and it wasn't brought up to me, so I'm not sure what happened with that. Says was able to get one scheduled, so that must have been Tim. So should we still do this to get a feel for what our liaisons do? I mean, that's completely up to us.
I think it's good, a good, recommendation and to see these spaces. I just question, based on what has actually happened, is the response adequate for concurrence? Mm-hmm. How do people feel about that?
I just think, I know, just from what I'm hearing, that there wasn't much of an attempt to follow through.
Whose responsibility would this have been? This would have been the coordinators. So it would have been, at one point, Jen, and then Anthony. I mean, at this point, I wouldn't hold Sheila, to this.
No.
But the district is held
But
to
the
it.
district, right, the
I mean,
district
anything
as a
that we
whole.
say is
And
not
it does say Adele is circling
So
back.
I did get the runaround, and I finally had to call her up and say, listen, she said, we'll schedule it for next year because it's already been on the air. And I said, I've been emailing you and calling you for 3 months.
So you pushed it yourself.
So I pushed it, and I said, I know the liaisons, and she said, well, if you don't, then just go to the school. So that's, I made my appointment with JP and Jessica.
So you actually did the legwork yourself.
Yeah.
Okay, so I say that was a non-concurrence from what I'm hearing. From my personal, just one person, but from the rest of you saying it, there wasn't much of an attempt on the part of the school district to actually get this done. So,
Not sufficient for concurrence?
not sufficient for concurrence. So my question after that is, do we still want it to be this, or should we modify that for what our resolution is,
I'm just
or our
wondering,
recommendation?
I mean, are we still, Amber, because historically we use these domains. Did we fall away from that?
I know that we used domains in the past, and I don't think that we had any of that available whenever we came
Okay.
up with these,
Okay.
because nobody could find any of these. And I don't know why they weren't provided, because they should have been school district property when the previous person left, and for whatever reason they were either put in storage or the previous person took them with them. And I don't know the backstory on that, so I'm not pointing fingers. I'm just saying that for whatever reason we didn't have them available.
Okay.
And so we had to come up with our own stuff.
Yeah.
And this was the best we could do.
Yeah. No.
But
and,
we still, I
just
think
out
we
of
still
that,
have to work off of this because this is what our stuff was last year.
Yeah.
And so I'm thinking that if we wanted to modify it, we should still keep, the gist of it. But I think that if we wanted to modify it, we could do that. Because this is ours. This isn't the district's. This is ours.
I still would be open to touring all the buildings and sites where we have liaisons and American Indian education programming.
I would
feel
like to see,
I don't know what's going on at all.
me personally, I would like to see everybody that is a liaison and tour what they do and hear what they do. That's what I would like. Because I want to understand what they do and how we can support them as a parent committee.
Yeah, it's really nice to see. I've only gone to see, I think, 3 so far. And it's really nice to see them interact with the students and they're coming to write to them and, just
I would also like to know how
comfortable.
many students are they responsible for in a day? I want to know these things. I want to know what they do. And I really just want to be supportive of their job and maybe even make recommendations to the school board based on what they do and what I see
Yep.
as a parent that wants to see our kids succeed.
And we've
I
been
did
able
that
to do
last
that in the
after I
past.
left, because I met with JP for almost 2.5 hours. So I did get the lowdown on everything, how many students he works with, what his desires are. You know,
Good.
Jessica was the same way. You know, it was very detailed. I took notes. I wrote.
Do you still have these notes?
I gave mine to Jennifer,
Okay.
and she was gonna hold it or use it for this. I don't.
She
know,
might have
but-
turned it into somebody higher than her, and she might not even had it anyways.
Yeah, the concerns, how many students were, you know, what their
Yeah.
struggles are, the benefits. It was good. You know, so yeah, it was about 4.5 hours between the two.
Okay.
It's something you don't go into the school and you're in and out.
No.
There's
Oh,
way-
no.
I mean,
Especially with GP.
yeah, you meet the students that are in the room and see their struggles, you know, what, your ears. And that's, so, for me, it was, next on my list was Suzanne Miller.
Mm-hmm.
But with her being between two schools, it was hard to hook up. And, I did the footwork myself. I wasn't going to wait till this year.
Yeah, maybe we should try to coordinate a little better this year if we can and get this done and just
Yeah. I went to the principals and they were like, okay, said I want to meet with you, and they were probably wondering why. And I'm going to meet with the liaison, so set it up right away.
okay.
So
So we should be able to do that through you then and get it all
yeah.
squared away. Okay.
whoever wants to go.
So
Well, and I wonder how, like, if there's certain parameters around, just with like student privacy, if there's certain things that, I mean, scheduling a time so that that liaison can have time, but there might be certain things that we can just discuss with them versus like seeing what they're doing, just because there might be some student privacy things that we have to respect.
Yeah.
And that's how my time was set up. So I spent time with Jessica, did our list, and then afterwards she had the students every week come in to see, so she could, you know, show this is what I'm working on, but this is where I'm lacking, where I need more educational supplies, or another person, an elder here to help storytell. And so I was able to see the one-on-one, you know, with her. And JP was the same way. I was in his room, then I was out, then I was in his room, and then I was out. I mean, he had me everywhere.
well, but that also gives you a feel for what they're doing
Yeah.
if they have to kick you out because there's a student there.
That,
I mean, so I think that makes it more real
Yeah.
and gives you more of a feel for it anyway.
and I was also able to see what the other teachers are doing to help out.
Mm-hmm.
You know, which I appreciated because JP does have a large load of students, you know, to work with last year. So it's something, yeah, that we should be doing
Amber?
as a committee.
So I was just wondering, I know Denfeld had its conference nights. Is conference nights concluded at all the sites? Does anyone know? Because that's an ideal time to take this tour, right? Students are not in there, you know, staff is already, you know, should be available for that type of thing.
Well, as parents, we're allowed to go in and watch
Yeah.
classes. I mean, we might not be able to be in there whenever they're doing like their one-on-ones, but we are allowed to tour the school and watch classes. That's within our purview.
Well, and I think part of this too is like understanding what they do is we used to get the, for those of you who've been around for a while, we used to get the monthly written reports, and so that was also a good way to get an idea of, especially when you have like Susanna who's at multiple buildings, right? Where it's like she's doing this in this building, she's doing this, or these are the types of meetings they attended, or trainings, or lunch groups, or I think getting back to having those monthly reports gives us an idea of like how much student interaction are they doing, how much behavior management is the school district expecting our liaisons to do for our kids, because that's not their job.
I did ask for that several times, and I was told that they don't do that anymore. It takes too much time.
I'm
What? The
creating
report?
a
The
template
monthly
for them
reports?
to use so that they're all the same. Because some apparently were handing in big long spreadsheets and then just unformatted. So
Some are like half a page of a bullet point.
yeah,
So-
or a couple sentences. So I'm gonna try and have that ready for our meeting next Wednesday, so that they can use that to just jot notes down and put it all on the computer if they want to. So that might help for the month.
It was good the past, 3 years ago? I think that's when it just
Yeah,
dropped off.
yeah, I
We're not
haven't
getting
seen
all the reports anymore.
Yeah.
Or certain liaisons were providing them and
Yeah, on a monthly
Others were-
basis,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden it stopped.
I think, Jennifer was trying to make it into a standardized format, because you're getting, doesn't it,
Amber's got another pen.
there it is. So it's just trying to have something, that alternate what you're doing for not make this easier for everybody to understand.
This was my pen, she needed.
Brenda, I'm not sure that came through very well. I'm sorry. It might be a technical issue.
I'll do it for chat box.
Okay. Jennifer Garbo was working format for the liaison to use.
So like what Sheila was saying is having some sort of template or form or
Yeah.
a standardized.
Yeah, something easy for them to fill out.
And just brief overview for us. It doesn't have to go into explicit details or anything. Just
Yeah.
Or literally just tally marks.
How many students I work with.
Yeah.
so we
How
want
many
to
parent
keep it
contacts
like
I've
this,
made.
that we still want to do this and get a better feel for what they're doing. And then if we do get the monthly reports or the reports that we get at AIPAC, we still want to go see what they're doing in person.
Right.
That's still what we want to keep in there.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that sounds good to me. So we'll just leave it at that. Not sufficient for concurrence. Let's go to the next one. We recommend identifying transportation supports or a transportation alternative for our American Indian students. Now the response, they talk about a pilot program with the DTA, but that's for everybody, not just our kids. We're talking about our kids. We have to keep that in mind. We're talking about our kids specifically, not just the whole student body, our kids. And they established an attendance campaign. I don't even know what that means. I don't remember my kids getting anything about a campaign. Due to lack of funding, that was discontinued. It's been recontinued. And then this FIT position,
The families in transition person.
it's been discontinued. Okay. Well, what does that have to do with our kids specifically?
Because they were so.
Sometimes they would provide
so, like,
transportation and
Kids
stuff.
who are in foster care, which a lot of our students end up in the child welfare system, part of the district's responsibility is to help our students have continuity of, not having to change schools all the time. Part of what the district does is they have to, if you move neighborhoods but you're in foster care, the district has to bus you to your original school.
That's because of the McKinney-Vento.
That's McKinney-Vento.
That's what you're talking about, is
Yeah.
McKinney-Vento. They have
which
to.
also applies to unhoused youth
Yeah.
Okay.
and foster
That's for
care.
homeless. Yeah.
So they discontinued that.
They have one. They were going to add one. So
I see.
they were going to have two.
And then Amber's trying to tell.
Oh, yes, and it kind of goes into what Brenda just put in the chat. At last year's tribal consultation, which I did attend, these vans that the district just had purchased was a huge point with respect to this exact recommendation. They talked about these vans extensively, but what I'm not aware of, and we talked about this at the December meeting, is how many of our Indian students are actually in these vans, and we don't have that data. We don't have even like a late van, kids who miss the bus, and does a van come? We've got a lot of Indian kids right here, you know what I mean? And like sending out a van to actually target our kids and get them to school would be a great use for that resource, but I don't know that it's being used to target our Indian students.
So I know in Cloquet Public Schools has, I don't know if it's in use this year, but I know in previous years, at least at the high school level, I'm not sure about the younger age, but there's like a phone number that you can call if you missed the bus, or you were supposed to have a ride, your mom had to stay, whatever it was, that you couldn't get to school, that they had. And maybe it's something that, I don't know if Sheila could maybe reach out to Cloquet and logistically how they did that, but you could get picked up. If you missed the bus, it wasn't like, I guess I'm not going to school.
Exactly what I'm talking about.
Cloquet,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's active now, but maybe that's, Sheila, you could reach out to Cloquet and logistically how they made that happen, because I know it was effective. I had kids on my caseload who utilized that, and it made the difference between getting to school and not.
We have a comment from Brenda. The district has also struggled to hire a van driver.
Well, we do have one at Lincoln.
Dustin does have his van training.
Yep.
But, and I'm wondering if is that a responsibility that we're going to be putting on our liaisons to go and pick up kids? Is that something that the district should have
Don't we have liaison positions open that we could hire for, and they could probably add that to whatever they're doing?
I think we've had some of those liaison positions. I think another piece, and I think it's in here later, is what is the district doing to hire liaisons, because we have open spots.
What is a requirement to drive the vans?
You have to go through training.
You do have to go through, can you hear me okay right now?
Yep.
Okay, you do have to go through a training with the transportation department, and there would have to be a van available for you to use. But I'm not as much in MacArthur where there is a van there that is not even used every day. So the problem has been that the school district has not been able to hire drivers for school buses or the vans, and they also have struggled to find staff who be drivers. For any of us, any district staff could be driving students in a district school.
So any district staff could actually do that? Okay. So do we have a resolution of non-concurrence for this, since it sounds like there hasn't really been anything targeting our kids for this?
I also want to add too that the DTA transportation program is only, isn't it? Only for high school students.
Denfeld East, and then like ALC, ALC and AEO, so it does not apply to middle schoolers.
Yeah.
Who I think definitely could be utilizing that.
Yep.
Okay.
6th, 7th, and 8th graders, they can take the city bus.
And then one thing I used to be part of the whatchamacallit, education equity and transportation for high school students, and even middle school. Was it 2 miles or whatever to 1 mile? I can't remember whatever that thing is.
Yeah, it says that.
But my concern was always for our native students who are already behind the 8 ball, get run over by it, because I'll take one neighborhood for example. The neighborhood that is out past Raleigh, that subsidized housing out there on 68th, 67th, that is just outside of the 2 mile mark. That is a heck of a long way for those kids to walk from there all the way to Grand Avenue when it's 5:20 below out to go catch a city bus.
Mm-hmm.
That is not going to happen.
I don't know. Our kids are high risk for being abducted
Yes.
and trafficked. So,
And they're already at risk. And I don't know. That just bothers me.
Did they change it? But they changed it, right? 2 miles to 1 mile. But
Yeah.
even a mile is.
Yeah.
So, but our students, we can say that we want our students to not have to walk that at all.
Right.
Yeah.
We can say that we want our students to not walk it at all. That's what we can do.
That would get them there. That would improve attendance.
Okay,
That is a real thing that we can impact.
I will not make my children walk. I am sorry. I don't care if it's a balmy 80 degrees outside and they love it. I don't want my kids to be
If it's too
possibly
cold, I don't
taken.
make her walk. 4th and Lake is a dangerous intersection, and people go off, cars crash right there. If it seems too hazardous to even stand on the sidewalk, I don't make her go take the bus.
Well, and it's like, and we live in a very hilly city too, where it's like you're supposed to, some of the places, I don't think, like, I mean, Old Central not now, but like, Lincoln Park is up that hill. For some people, that's a long walk, and the main road is not the sidewalk.
No, you have to go.
You have to go
walk.
up through the neighborhood and through the back. So even if you got off on the bus, there is not a safe way to navigate. Just like from where a car would drive up there, there's no sidewalk there, and so they would have to take a bus, go through a neighborhood that they're not familiar with. There's no like direct route for a student to get up there that does not, if they're not familiar with the neighborhood, which kids who go to Lincoln Park live in the Fond du Lac neighborhood, live in Gary, right? Like it's not just the neighborhood kids who
So
They live in the hillside.
We walk for activities up to Lincoln. When she's had the car, so we could all on that walk. And it's a gray area between that neighborhood up to the school. I know it's very.
you don't know where you're going until you get right up there. Like you don't know where you're going until you're like a block away from the school for where you're supposed to be walking. And so it's like, is that really accessible to our students? And it's like, that's the low income school.
And they paint arrows on the sidewalk.
Oh, and then remember
They come off in like 6 months.
In the winter.
And then another issue, I just thought about that. It says creepy. Remember when Riley was in 6th grade and she tried to walk back from school and she got scared because she said, I saw this car come around the block twice. And I ran home and she lost her glasses because they were in her pocket. But yeah, I forgot about until you mentioned that. But yeah.
Yeah, well, Sam got jumped walking home. So I would like to do that this is a non-concurrence. And instead of just saying identifying, I would like to enhance that and say that we don't want our students walking what they have suggested in their response. We don't want them to walk at all because of their unique safety needs as American Indian students.
Well, and a mile is 12 blocks. A lot can happen in 12 blocks.
So could we say something like, could we alter that to say, create an action plan to target American Indian students' transportation needs?
Absolutely, because of...
I think that's fantastic. That's a concern of a student level too. If parents have a way, I hope you can hear me. If parents have a way, or even kids have a way to let their liaison know, or something, that they know it's us, that they will come with whatever the issue is, and they please help us getting to school. That would be fantastic.
Does anybody know, because this is for high school students, does middle school and elementary, what is that, quote, walker distance for like a K-12 or a K-5 student?
I don't even know.
I think elementary school is pretty close. It's like half a mile or something.
That's still six.
no.
That's still 6
Oh,
blocks.
hell no.
That's still 6 blocks.
Am I kidding?
It is.
You never get walked that.
And then I think for high school, it might be a mile and a half.
Yeah, well, I don't want our kids walking if they don't have to make sure they can get to school and get home safely. Do you have something to say, Jordan? Go ahead.
I just have one concern with what you said around the action plan, because often action plans get created and nothing happens.
Okay.
So I would just try to strengthen that language some.
Okay.
Whoever you goes to accountable to say this is what, put time frames in there. Otherwise, action plans, great, but nothing, you'll be back to the beginning of the year.
I mean, like an implementable, is that a word? Yeah.
Implement an action plan
Well, and like
requires
put it, like
creation of it.
make it like a SMART goal where it's like develop and implement an action plan to begin the 2025-2026 school year. It's like there's plenty of time between now and the beginning of September to figure that out.
But this plan is supposed to be about this year.
Right.
So we could even say, because this shouldn't be hard. We've got the vans. We could say starting fourth quarter, we're going to have those vans, and really targeting those kids
That's
who
what I
are
wanna do.
on the brink of, are they going to pass this year or not? Can we get them to school so we can get them actually?
And
I like it.
identify, I don't know if it's liaisons or identify teachers to get trained in the van,
Mhm.
van training, because
Mhm.
that's what's needed to get people driving.
Yep.
So I'm just trying to say, it's
Identify
possible.
and train.
Yeah.
Like not just identifying, but like and train.
Get them trained.
And then, but then what is this attendance campaign? What
We
is
don't
it?
know.
I never even heard anything
that
about
is.
it.
I mean, at Denfeld, but they removed the requirement. At Denfeld, they had the hunter's license, which did have an attendance component to it. They did remove the attendance component from it because the students weren't able, like, it was just so, it was not working out for, like, most students couldn't go to
It's
basketball
back this
game.
year.
So I would clarify what,
No,
what
the
the
atten-
attendance campaign is.
Yeah,
attendance-
we don't know what the attendance
Yeah, they suspended
campaign
it first
is.
semester, and then they restarted it second semester, but they changed it a little bit. But that only applies to Denfeld students, and that doesn't apply to only our students. That's a school-wide program.
Yeah, I don't accept their school-wide programs. This is our kids. And I'm not gonna let them get off on that,
I
I'm
mean,
sorry.
like, I'm glad that those programs are in place, but also, in addition to. Well, I mean, I think too, something that when we talk about these vans, it's like we have students who are considered chronically truant. We have students who you could turn in every single assignment. You could have 100%. If you have a certain number of absences, it's an incomplete and you don't get credit. So we have kids who might not graduate because they need to do some attendance recovery, or because they miss one more hour and they won't graduate. And it's like those are BS reasons for our kids not to be graduating when we have vans, when they're
Doing the homework.
doing the schoolwork.
Right? That should be number one. So.
Identify and train.
Okay.
So should we do this? So the DTA partnership, did we want to add in that we want our students in middle schools to be able to utilize that too? Our American Indian students?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we have to remember, they're going to try to say that
We're
it's a
providing
racial thing, but American Indian students have a unique legal status that means that they can target our kids without them saying, oh, well, we need to do this for everybody. No, they don't. That's why we get these extra funds.
Has anybody been on the bus lately?
What bus?
DTA?
The DTA.
Oh.
Sam rides a DTA. It's weird, but
How bad it is with the people on there, and all the drivers are caged in for
Yeah, they are
protection.
caged in.
They are.
yeah, they are. Still better
I
than
would feel
walking.
uncomfortable having
At least there's cameras on the bus.
a middle schooler.
Teach your kid to
Take
sit
the
right
bus.
behind the driver. That's what I do.
They're blocked off though. The driver can't even help.
High school, I don't have an issue with that, because the kids can.
That's probably why it wasn't extended to the middle school students
That
to
could
begin
be.
with.
That
Yeah.
could be.
Safety issues.
So should we just
Yeah.
leave it off then, and then just focus on trying to get them to?
I feel
Use
like
the vans.
Use the vans.
Use
I've
the
never seen them use those
vans.
vans.
If you think about it, a middle schooler, a sixth grader could be 11 years old. They could be an 11-year-old. I mean, when I was 11, I was riding the bus, but that was a while ago.
He's a sixth grader.
Yeah.
He's 11. He got lost the first day of school. They put him on the wrong bus. Nobody knew where he was. He doesn't have a phone. And let me tell you, he was lost for about 2 hours. They only called the bus drivers to see where he was whenever I threatened to call the police because they didn't believe me.
That same thing happened to my nephew this year.
That's absolutely terrifying. I'm sorry.
I will never send him on a school bus again because of that. Because they didn't take mom seriously, even though I was freaking the F out until I said I'm calling the cops because I don't know where my kid is and you need to find him.
So Cadell wants to say something. Go ahead, tell him what you
Oh, that's really cool, actually. That's a good, you know what I mean?
Well, JP, Sheila, do you know, was it a bus or was it a van that JP utilized to bring students to the 13 Rooms powwow?
Oh, I think it was a bus. I thought it was a bus.
Okay.
There was a lot of students.
And driving a bus, that's a different level.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
definitely a
That's
different.
a license classification.
Yeah.
That's more than just
That's
a training.
expensive training.
Okay, do we want to move on from this one?
Yeah, I like implement. So we're identifying and training drivers because that's an actionable thing that they can demonstrate. And then, was it implementing, like, do we want to call like a van plan?
I would say, I would just call it an action plan
by
that
fourth quarter.
targets American
Yep.
Indian students, that is in place by the start of fourth quarter. Yeah.
But I want to put in there the unique safety needs of our kids.
Yeah. We can do some wordsmithing
Yeah,
at
yeah.
the end of this.
I want to get this done. Okay. So, recommendation, we recommend professional development for all staff with respect. That did happen, I believe.
It did.
So that would have been concurrence. And I think that we'd like to see more of that. I'm sorry? Kinda.
I looked back, I can't remember the staff development activities were, I think it was in November, this past fall, and there were a lot of American Indian components. The American Indian component is required now by the state of Minnesota, which is required. So somewhere within 5 years, there's a project created, or by the license. So somewhere within the next 5 years, all staff, all certified staff, you have to have American Indian cultural history, at least 1 hour of training on that. There could essentially be 6 at the state level, but that's not to say that at the district level, you could certified and not certified.
So you're saying the state already requires an hour of training?
Yes.
So should we, every 5 years, so should we ask for more than that?
That's not for non-certified staff, though, that does not include like paraprofessionals.
Yeah, I'm looking at our, because we had said we recommend professional development for all staff, and I think from what I can recollect, part of the conversation is that it's not just the classroom teachers who are working with our students. It's not just the classroom teachers who are interacting with our students. It's, and then in their response, or it says a full day inclusion for all certified and non-certified staff.
That is what we did then, November, that was for certified and non-certified staff.
And that happened in November, you said?
Was it a required staff development day?
I think it was either in October or November.
Okay, on here it says, because I think they had it on Indigenous Peoples Day, and I think, because I remember asking Jen and Gray if they were involved. Gray said they were, Jen said she wasn't, so there's a little bit of conflict on if our Indian Education Coordinator was even involved in that PD process. I think we asked it in one of those November meetings who recommended the. Do you remember they recommended somebody?
It was Jeremy Ruff.
Yeah, they recommended something. Some of that PD. They brought some people in from Hawaii, and I think Nate actually did that piece of it, but I don't think that the Indian Ed program was actually involved a whole lot of that, and that would be really important.
That should be.
To see that this is being vetted by your Indian Ed department as well.
Yeah, because I hate to say this, but somebody from Hawaii doesn't know quite as much about the people here.
didn't quite hear what you said there. Okay, we've been told Wasabikan isn't under the Indian Education Department, so that's still a separation.
So state mandated is 1 hour every 5 years, and like this was a full day, of training. Is that what, Brenda? Was it a full day? Was it just Indigenous based?
It was not only Indigenous based. So like equity and inclusion issues. But it was a district-wide training, and there was a large Indigenous focus to it.
Okay.
And we did get some feedback from MD and the plan actually specifically talking PD opportunities. It says when providing PD opportunities for staff, please ensure it meets the criteria listed on page 14 of the American Indian Education Aid Program guidance on our webpage. Also Title II, Part A can fund PD for teachers. So just making sure that other funding streams are targeted first and that we are not supplanting what the district already does. So maybe including that as kind of in that recommendation, not supplanting PD.
We should just say exactly what the state says then.
Okay.
Say supplanting.
Paste and copy part of that.
I think that
Yeah.
so
They already
our
wrote
Indian,
it
ed,
down.
our Indian Ed coordinator should absolutely be involved in this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I'm meeting with her tomorrow, actually.
okay,
For
good,
more training, yeah.
good. Because I think that we have a lot of local people that could
Yeah.
do good training, that would know these things, and I think that would give us better insight into our students, because if our local people are able to and available, I think we should utilize them first.
Well, and I think too. and
Flying in
maybe-
somebody from Hawaii is kind of, it seems like a little waste of funds to me whenever we have people here that can do it. I mean, I don't know. That's my opinion.
I think part of that is that there's so much language revitalization in Hawaii. They're one of the first nations to really kick that off because of their connection, like with the Maori in New Zealand.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So I'm happy to like grab onto that and be part of that movement. But I understand where you're coming from, where it's like, do the kids know that? Do they know how important that is, or are they just like, whoa, Hawaiian, like that's cool?
Or do they actually listen to what those Hawaiian people say about their language revitalization? Because it doesn't look like they're doing much in the schools to me.
Well, and I think too, and this might be kind of like a part of Sheila's conversation when we talk about what does that PD look like, is that while we are primarily, the majority, I feel comfortable saying majority of our students are, Anishinaabe, not all of them are. And so making sure that information and training is provided that is not exclusively focused on Anishinaabe students, because we do have students who are from other tribes teaching things. I feel like some things are very an Indigenous experience, like boarding schools, right? Like things like that. That applies to a lot of the Relocation Act, right? Like why do parents not want to talk to you? Why don't they want to come and meet with you at conferences? I think might be not to take away from the majority of who our students identify as, but like also keeping in mind that not everybody does affiliate with.
But there are local people that can teach this.
Oh, for sure.
That aren't Anishinaabe. I know a lot of Lakota people.
I was just going to say, yeah,
There's definitely people that are here that can do this and help, get paid for their services, contribute. I just think that we should be really intentional on what we ask for.
And if we're using our liaisons to give this knowledge to our certified teachers, how are our liaisons being compensated for that knowledge that they carry? You know what I mean?
But
our liaisons are relied on heavily,
They are very heavily
to
relied
make that connection between the curriculum and putting that Indigenous focus on it. And I know that teachers go to them and ask them for this feedback, and they provide it freely, but that is not necessarily above and beyond, because they're hired for that American Indian culture that they carry, and that's a part of their job description and what they're hired on. But we're not paying them to do this. If they're being utilized in that consultant's role, they should be paid as that consultant, and not just saying, "Oh, we're already on staff, we're paying you, and we get your intellectual property because."
Right.
Yeah.
You belong to,
You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, it feels exploitative.
Yes,
Like,
yes.
It is.
When we're using our liaisons as consultants, we pay them as
Well,
consultants.
it's
Yes,
like you're a liaison, but you're going to facilitate a PD session like that. Those are different things. Those are different.
Exactly.
It's one thing of like a teacher.
Or you're a
coming to-
teacher and you're going to be doing a PD session. They should be being
Right. Like if we have our
Paid.
indigenous teachers or language teachers doing something like that's not their
Again, that feels like supplanting, right?
right. Where it's like using them and just saying that like, well, you know this, so can you just go talk about it? It's like, well, that's not the same thing as teaching and giving a
Could we
training.
set up a fund for just honorariums? For if we are having liaisons do that work, say, here's 200 for the 2 hours, because you're technically taking on this consultant role. Have a part of the budget.
I think we do have consulting in the budget. I think
Yeah.
$11,000.
The way that I saw it in the budget though was like, it was kind of just a big chunk of like $3,000 for consulting, and it was like, for who, for what, when?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I wonder if there's, and this might be like an HR question, like can district employees be paid out of district funds? Otherwise, I mean, I don't see why we should. If we have knowledge, we have people who are willing to give the knowledge and should be compensated for it. But I'm wondering, like, is there anything that we would need to like make sure that we're not violating?
We'd have to look at their contract.
Oh, Brent.
Double dipping, you said?
So then they wouldn't be able to ask them to do that then.
So then they should be able to ask them to do that.
Can I just say something? I think it's a unique situation because Indigenous community members have knowledge and are even knowledge holders, but I think you can create a policy that specifically lays that out and not one is created because some people don't have that knowledge and some people that, right? So it's we face that here too. Policy. So you're not double dipping, but you're being very clear on what your role is and when you're on that role. So they're not on the clock.
Yeah.
They're the
Yep.
consultant at that time.
That's
then be the double dipping part.
right.
The contract.
Because this is already what they're doing is outside of their contract.
That's right.
Yep.
So then it's a clear distinction. I think you just have to make sure that distinction is there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that might be like an HR.
And that would be Sheila in
But I wouldn't
HR.
want our staff who have these unique knowledge bases to be like, well, you have really great knowledge and we'd love to compensate you to train our people, but you can't and we can't because you're a staff. Like that doesn't feel right to me. Like if we can compensate somebody for their knowledge and to teach our students, just finding like the right way to do it,
And what if they were drummers,
right?
right? What would happen then?
Well, I know
Can't
sometimes
just not pay them.
Exactly.
Oh,
Well, and sometimes they have to do like become a vendor for the district. I've seen that where there's times where people have to be established as a vendor through the district, so they have to have like their social security. I think some of it has to do with how much they're being paid. There becomes a point where there has to be like tax.
Well, any amount they have to set up probably a vendor because you need the W-9 for auditing purposes. So, but if they make over $600, then it's considered they have to claim that.
It's taxable. Yep.
So, but either
We
way,
pay
they
them
would have to set that
$599.
up.
Either way, it has to be trackable in case there's an audit. It has to be able to be proven. This is what we spent this
And
on.
if we're not paying our drummers, if we don't have a check ready for them when they do their performance, then I don't know why we aren't paying per drummer so that they each get paid out of that. So that 500, they're all underneath that 500 non-taxable, non-reporting kind of line. like I said, at Denfeld, the flag hanging, they showed up 12 deep when I consider the backup singers, and we paid them $500. That's not even. That's not even their gas and time
They paid
for
them
all of it.
$1,000 from the medical school for the drum groups to come in for the white coat ceremony.
Mm-hmm. Like, and they do it willingly.
Yeah.
And they love to show up for our kids, and we need to make sure we're not exploiting that.
Because if you ask, they'll come.
Yes, we know they will. Okay, so did we say that was adequate for concurrence recommendation 3 or no?
I feel like.
So as far as how we had it written, it is adequate, but we should add to it.
Oh yeah.
Okay, yeah.
We could say concurrent and then beef it up.
Yeah, that's what I think
it's-
we should do. And
I
I
think
do
it's
have the
a-
notes on what to beef it up with,
Sorry.
what we all discussed. Please go.
I watched a school board meeting where I felt like they were really struggling with the professional development aspect, though, where they were just talking about, in the past we have to read a poem or we have to come up with something like, when we were having the discussion of what professional development is going to look like for the district when they were asking for the recommendations, I think a lot of the teachers don't really have the knowledge to be able to put that out, and I think for a long time they've just been kind of like, come up with something, I would really like to see some kind of actual curriculum or programming that's can be pulled from and used.
I guess the only person we have here who would have actually went to that PD that's listed here would be Brenda. I guess her opinion here is really valuable. Was that full day PD, in your opinion, adequate for concurrence? Okay.
Sessions, there was a lot of breakout sessions. So I said, if you could use some of those breakout sessions formally for the licensure, that is what staff would appreciate, because you have to put in there are different components. You have to do like 5 different things. You have to actually get licensed in. But I just feel like that Dave had a huge amount of sessions made available. There was a good representation of indigenous culture among other subgroups within the schools. It was a really good day, and I don't normally say that about staff development days.
Okay, good.
It's like, you did a good job, and now do better.
So they did a good job on that, so let's be more intentional. I can't even talk, I'm sorry guys.
We got you, Anna.
My mouth ain't
Intentioned?
Intentional about having more of our Indian education involved in creating this.
Well, who knows who those people are? Who knows who those resources are?
Yes, we need our Indian
was
education.
Akwayashi consulted, UMD, UMD has an American Indian Studies department. They have people who could come in and do, when we talk about curriculum or having something that is not just somebody coming in and.
All right, so let's move on to the next one. So this is concurrence, and then we're gonna just say, let's beef it up.
Yeah.
We recommend HR create an action plan for recruitment and retention of our American Indian teachers, administration, and staff. A plan has been drafted. Here's a copy of the link.
It is not hyperlinked even on this printout.
So I vote on concurrence.
I think the link was clickable within the words.
I thought we were gonna have one presented to us.
We were supposed to have one presented at the, let's see, it was talked about in January, and they said, Teresa Severance is going to be at the February meeting presenting the plan, and then she didn't actually.
So never happened, non-concurrence.
They did update, I think, the liaison positions.
What does that mean?
they updated it. I didn't read. I didn't see any changes, but yeah, I just got an email saying we updated the liaison position.
Like a job description?
It's posted on the website.
Oh, for the Masabikang para.
I don't know if it was Miss Hobbycon.
Because we
It just
haven't.
said liaison. I can't pull it up here.
Okay, I'm just going back to look at that.
I wonder, do you have a copy of like the old job description then?
Well, I was gonna look through it, but I just didn't have time today. Just to see what they improved on.
So should we then say, since
I would still, yeah.
think that it's happened,
And it hasn't
should have
been
it done.
it hasn't been presented to us at this point.
so non-concurrence hasn't happened, we want to see this happen by fourth quarter? I mean, within this school year, because this is within our
this
school year?
School year, yeah. Because we literally have to write another plan before June 1st.
So should we say by fourth quarter?
By fourth quarter.
Give them some time, like, hey, this is how much time you have, get on this.
Yes. Let's see.
Okay. So we all agree, non-concurrence?
For the 4.
Yeah, for 4, because we haven't gotten anything from them. Number 5, we recommend trialing a pilot school within a school program to foster internal support and community for American Indian students. So they do have that at Denfeld.
Go back to 4 for just a second. We recommend HR create an action plan. I think create and present to us.
They would be presenting it to us by fourth quarter.
Okay.
Because just putting it randomly on the website without anybody knowing.
Because
I'm not
what
gonna go in there
their
and look
original
for it.
response said they were going to try and have that completed by the end of last school year.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're saying a plan's been drafted, but we don't actually see it.
Yeah, well, nothing has intentionally been presented
Shared
to
with
us,
us, yeah.
so that's what we're gonna
Okay.
ask for. Okay, well,
Yeah, I'm looking in the live document from the minutes and stuff like that.
Is it linked? That's what I was just looking
That's
for.
what I mean, but even if it is, that's not the same as HR coming in and
letting us
yeah.
ask questions.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on.
Why don't, instead of saying action plan, meet with HR on a certain day to see what they're doing about.
Well, or consulting with Sheila about what do we need to retain our staff?
so,
If HR is just making a plan, do they have
Yeah.
any idea what our staff need?
so
to
then
stay?
could we say, consult with Sheila, and then after doing that, can create an action plan, and then present it to the AIPAC committee,
Or Title VI.
or Title VI, or
Or
whatever.
all three of them, actually.
Because I
and
do
the
think that
community,
Sheila should be
this could be
consulted.
Parent committee. I don't know,
Yeah, because it really should be
So-
presented into the community, and that would be a nice thing at the annual open public meeting for Title VI.
I just feel like it's a little bit awkward though, because what it really comes up to is asking the Native employees, why did you quit?
Yeah.
What was the problem? And then they're not gonna be allowed to talk about the problem. Because I think the policy of the district is just deny, deny, deny. So however many of these staff that have quit, that's their problem, right? And then recruiting them and maintaining them.
So we could actually even just ask for those specifics. How many American Indian education staff have we lost in the last 2 years?
And it's is it because they got a better job offer? Was it because there was issues with supervisors?
I know exit interviews are offered. They could just summarize that to share.
Could be disaggregated in
Yeah.
some way.
Where it's not identifying anyone, but lack of training opportunities could be, you know what I mean, a reason why.
I think they should have a specific exit interview for Native employees, though,
Yeah.
because that's like a cultural aspect.
Yeah.
that I think could be looked at specifically.
Well, what do our staff need? And recognizing that we have staff who are Indigenous that are not just working within the American Indian Education Department, right? We have staff they want to leave, or what would help you stay more? Those kinds of things. Do we have affinity groups available to staff too? Nate may be a good resource for that.
We do have affinity groups.
Oh, we do have affinity groups. Thanks. Take.
I can't find that email. I'm just. You ain't received it.
I wish we still had the teacher training program. Remember that, Brenda?
Why don't we have that?
I think it was a
We do
grant.
have it.
Is it still? Because we used to do like the committee used to.
Yeah, it still exists. I don't know how many people are in it or anything at this point.
Brenda,
Because
you said there's a retention agreement. Can you explain more about what that looks like?
So, I really can't. It's because I don't know if it's something that is written down anywhere or how this all handled. But American Indian, like certified staff people, cannot get laid off. There's like a plan, like a priority plan to retain specifically American Indian certified staff people. There aren't usually like a lot of layoffs or anything, but it has come up in the past. It's probably been at least 25 years since we've run into this, but I should say I'm assuming that agreement is in place, but our Human Resources Department has had a massive turnover the past few years. So I don't know who knows what there anymore, but it is, there has been this agreement that we will retain American Indian teachers.
But it's not, as far as we know, that's not a written agreement.
I honestly don't know because the district website has also changed. Things have changed from paper forms to the previous district website to now this new format this past year or so.
which is annoying.
So it takes some digging, but there has been a retention agreement. And I think that it probably came out of the Indian Teachers Training Program, honestly. Because part of that was that the students who graduated agreed to teach in this area for a few years. So that was part of it.
So I've asked HR directly through email to share the American Indian retention policy and got no response. So I doubt that there is actually written. I understand that there might be a verbal agreement, there might be an idea of what happens in practice, but what happens in practice is we lose a lot of Indian staff.
Well, and I think like what Brenda is talking about, we had the Indigenous teacher training, which I know Beshkunebik, who was a para and is now a teacher at Masabekong, utilized that. And in the past, like we had, and some of it too is not just creating language teachers, it's just staff, seeing yourself in spaces that you don't normally see yourself. You could be a gym teacher, you could be a principal, like not just cultural-based positions. And we had a gym teacher who he had language, he did that, he came through the teacher training program through UMD, and he worked in the district for a while. But then after, it was some sort of I think there was a retention agreement connected to the teacher training program. I don't know if that was district specific or if it was only directly linked to that program.
It would be awesome if we actually had a Native American lit class that taught a core English credit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's the type of, like when you're talking Indian teacher training, like not just saying, we have somebody in an Ojibwe class. I would like to see the core content include that Native American lit, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That is absolutely something that the district can provide. And they can provide it to all students, and then all students are accessible to that. including our Indian students, right? And they see themselves in that core content that I think is missing.
I just want to put on a time reminder. I have class at 6:30, so I'm gonna have to turn. Brenda, I'm gonna have to turn off the Google Meet because this is someone else. Yeah. Does anybody else want to put Brenda on their phone or something?
I could get my laptop.
Okay.
I was gonna say it would be nice if we could have it connected up on there, just so the speaker is loud.
So we could just send Jordan an email invite on that.
Yeah, you just have to send.
Yeah, then you can access it.
So I think we're all clear that it's not adequate for concurrence recommendation 4, right?
Yeah, that's not adequate for concurrence.
Okay.
So number 5, recommend trialing a pilot school within a school. My son was in that. He was kicked out of it. This has happened, so I would say that it is concurrence. We can beef this up though and say, okay, now that it's implemented, we would like to see this happen in addition to it just being continued.
And we'd like to see the evaluation data. I know Mary Owen is involved with that. Do we have any evaluation data at this point? Anyone aware of any?
I mean, I would expect a lot of data to come out at the end of the school year. I don't know.
Well, they're already kicking people out.
We're already kicking people out.
I'm wondering. Well, I'm saying like a totality of like how the school year went would definitely happen after the school year ends. But I'm wondering if there was anything done at semester.
I assume that's what happened. Why students were removed, right? Something was considered insufficient, and we don't know what that is. We don't know what the policy within the cohort, and it's brand new. It's pilot. You're not supposed to be like all on top of everything, but like.
I don't know. See, what I don't understand is how they evaluate data. If they started out with this group of students, all of a sudden they're dropping all these kids and putting more in. How does that help the students that they initially thought needed this help to go into the cohort? I don't understand how that even, I don't get it.
Why were they getting kicked out?
My son had attendance issues, and he's had attendance issues since he started school because he has IBD and he has autoimmune arthritis like me, so he misses a lot of school. So his IEP wasn't considered. They just kicked him out, which really kind of burns my ass. I'm sorry to say.
So was on his IEP, was the cohort what part of the goals? One of the things in his goals of his IEP?
I don't know.
Well, and I think
Because I never got a copy of it after we had our meetings and everything. I don't have any idea what's actually on it.
Well, I
We
think
should have
part of
gotten a copy.
Yeah, I know. Legally, I should have gotten a copy. I haven't gotten one. So there's a lot of stuff that Denfeld isn't doing that I'm really bitter about.
Well, I think that was part of, when we had some conversations about the cohort is how a lot of our students receive special education services, whether it is for academic, behavioral, or both, and that how are we making sure that the students who would benefit from the cohort, like Sam, like that is how he functions, is in that mindset. How are his needs as a special education student who has legal rights being able to still participate in that?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Was the cohort actually written into his IEP? If it was, then they shouldn't have kicked him out. You could have requested a manifestation determination meeting.
Still could.
What in the hell is that?
That's where they figure out what the heck went wrong. And they basically write a whole new IEP.
And there's no.
Because the last
vigorous
IEP,
point
I got
that-
yelled at by the director of the cohort, so she screamed in my face.
You can
And I'm not
request a
pointing
new
the finger
IEP at any time.
At you, Amber, I'm saying, don't take offense, but the lack of communication that you have with the paper that, like Phyllis had said, you're telling us you didn't know, you haven't seen nothing.
Yeah.
And that's where the parents have to be more active.
So the fact of the matter is students are being removed from this cohort that we requested, and it has been implemented. What supports outside of the cohort are being targeted at those students removed to ensure their success beyond the cohort, right? These kids should be getting highly targeted services from the greater school because they were removed from this Indigenous cohort. Because they're saying, oh, we don't have the supports within the cohort to meet their needs, so, and they'll get their needs met better outside the cohort. What are those supports? You know, how specifically? Yes,
Yeah.
Where are they going after that? Or are they just being removed and then dropping off the face of the earth, and then we lose those kids, and that is exactly what we didn't want.
My son isn't going to school at all now. He skips. I take him, drop him off, he skips. He's like, Mom, I went and slept at Wendy's all day. Or, Mom, I went and slept at whatever.
Well, and I feel like there should be, I mean, with any program, it's like, okay, there was a situation, or we're having, right, like, we're seeing this happen, let's have a meeting and talk about, right, like, you don't just say, oh, well, you're out. Usually there's some sort of, like, communication with the parent, and then they have a meeting, and we talk about what's going on, and then we can, you know, like, there's usually things that happen, or should be happening, before a student. I mean, I experienced a very similar thing at Lowell with my daughter. She was, I mean, and the pandemic hit, and it was a whole thing, but, like, she was having behavioral stuff in Masabekong, and the program made the decision that after Natalia's third grade year, and she was not a Lowell districted student, she was supposed to go to Piedmont, but because of the uniqueness of the program, they allowed her to go. And we have kids who have special needs, behavioral supports, that they said, well, you guys have known that there's been some issues, and she's had some behavioral stuff, and it's just not conducive to her or the other students in the class for her to have to be removed from class due to behaviors, so she will not be welcome back next year. So, like, this is not a new, like, experience within the district.
You can go first.
Okay, I was going to add too. We're actually going through that with that little guy, and I just told my daughter she's getting emails from his classroom teacher at Masabekong, and I was like, oh, and they were really pushing for her to have him evaluated for special ed. And with me knowing I worked in that field for a long time, I knew what was up. I said, okay. I said, you need to ask them about if they're running the 2 PDIs in each area of concern. You have to run 2 sets of PDIs. That was not mentioned in the email. They were just pushing for her to sign for him to be evaluated for special ed services. And she said, no. She said, where are these? She said, my mom worked for the district in special ed, so she, you know, we're asking these questions. And boom, just like that, they backed off. And my daughter also has one of the friends who's also a special ed teacher, and also mentioned those same things. So yeah, so I mean, unless you know.
I don't know what to ask for.
And
I
so,
have no idea.
just like that, you know, they were trying to push him out and get him evaluated for
That's
special
those
ed.
parent information sessions.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, because I have no clue what to ask for. Like, I've been waiting for them to send that to me. I don't know how soon they send that stuff out.
When Natalia was in 3rd grade, I didn't know that stuff. Like, now, when there's stuff, I'm like, all right, where's her AIP team? Where's her case manager? But if our parents don't know, you don't know. You don't know how to advocate for your kid, because how do you learn that?
Just going on a different road, I was just reading the original response. It says at the end of April, the team, so I'm assuming that was last April, the team will know what funding has been earmarked for this program and plans for implementation. We have never known what funding has been earmarked for Denfeld cohorts, right? And we don't know what has already been done as far as those financial status of that. So just the fact that we have a cohort, are they being funded adequately? We don't know how they're being funded. And apparently, according to this, they were supposed to do it at the end of April. So, for example, what we heard at the December meeting is they were wanting chairs for some of our, they're
high schoolers. They
having
fit in tiny little plastic chairs.
Having an appropriate size seat makes you feel welcome in the class, and you are more likely to go to class if you have a seat you can fit in. That is absolutely 100% what these funds are supposed to be for, you know what I mean? So I don't know how much money has been allocated to the cohort. I don't know how much they've spent. I don't know how much they have for the rest of the year. But this is a program that absolutely targets Indigenous kids. So it's basically like, not the sky's the limit, but they should have a decent budget that they know what
this
they
says
have
the
to.
team. When it says the team will know,
Who is
the team is the planning. It says a planning team will meet. So whoever was the district.
Are we not part of the team?
No, not when you're planning the cohort. That would be more of like logistics with teachers and stuff like that. Like this original planning team, that, from my understanding, did not include the parent committee.
But I don't
that
understand why it wasn't.
Well, why wouldn't they even just because that's kind of important as far as.
I'm not saying they shouldn't have included it.
I'm just
like,
saying it's important
the
as
team
we
will know.
continue to move forward with these plans. They had a budgeted amount. They met. They knew it. That should have been reflected on this year's plan, like in a, you know what I mean, in that budget area, like, oh, we allocated, you know, for classroom supplies specifically for the Denfeld cohort, $3,000, and, you know, for regalia or beading supplies specifically for the cohort, or, you know, adequate furniture, you know what I mean? We should understand. We should, because we are part of that. We are absolutely an integral part of that plan making process. We should understand what they've decided to budget, and we have no idea. Jen's no longer here. Jen was the person who would have been on that team.
There's a meaningful collaboration.
Yeah,
in what they did.
and it's just not been shared with us what the intention was then and what the intention is now.
We literally have no idea how it's actually going there.
Well, and I
Yeah,
think
somehow
too,
we just need to beef up, but how can we find out more about what's going on?
Yep.
The success of it.
Yeah, are they being
Or
funded
not,
adequately?
or not success.
Who is part of these decision makings? How is it actually going?
Yeah.
Well, and I think some of it too, when we looked at the distribution of staff, we had that sheet of the Indian Ed department staff of what location they were housed at, and one of the next, you know, number 6 is about manageable caseloads, and we were talking about how we have
one of them got moved
we
to
have
a cohort.
JP, and if you look at it, if you look on paper, we have 2 liaisons at Denfeld on paper.
Yeah.
But Jamie is not working with
Nope.
our greater population
Nope.
of students. She's only working with
The cohort.
And now we have 2
Yeah.
elementary schools who are the 2 elementary schools that have the highest Native American population in the district, and they have no one. And some of that's growing pains, right? Some of it is like, well, this might work, and it's like now we're like, no, that didn't work. And so that's like staff assignment is, you know, Sheila's wheelhouse. But I think that a recommendation could be that like a dedicated, if a para or whatever role Jamie is supposed to be fulfilling within that cohort, that is its own position, because right now we have 2 whole schools of students who do not have anybody to go to. So it's like, is someone to fill Jamie's role in the cohort necessary? And if it is, we need to be hiring somebody specifically for that. We as in the district needs to hire somebody. And Jamie needs to, Lowell and Myers-Wilkins need a liaison. And Jamie is great with, like, she did amazing stuff with those kids. And so our students, it's like, okay, these students are getting it, but now we have 2 whole schools who have no one. And we're having incidents at those schools that our families don't have support, they have no one to go to.
So backing up a little bit about talking about the cohort, and right now the cohort is kind of a small group, and one of the concerns that students have made is about keeping the Native students in the cohort connected with the Native students outside of the cohort. There seems to be very little integration there. It's like we're putting all this funding into this small group, and we're not actually connecting the greater Indigenous population to that cohort. They're not invited to these events, you know what I mean? Even being within the same school, and that's some place where we could provide funding and say, no, this dinner is open for all Indigenous students, not just
You're
the
saying
cohort.
like a cohort event occurred, but then it was not open to the.
It was not open to
Okay.
the
At
other
first I was
students.
like,
yeah.
Yeah, we had a
No,
nice
I see
dinner
it. I see
before Sam was kicked out, and
Yeah.
it was just cohort parents. AIPAC wasn't invited. Nobody was invited.
So, making sure those students are connected with their Indigenous peers and not like, oh, this is something special for us and you guys don't get to be part of it. That's not okay or appropriate. And when I look at the budget, we have the money
have
to
the budget to do that.
support
Yep.
a greater amount of students, and even just like saying, you know what I mean, do you want to visit the cohort one day, sit in class, get some credit, get some seat time? If there's space, you know, there's outreach that the cohort can do, and it's a pilot program, and these are all, you know what I mean, just
Well, this
ideas.
is part of
but
figuring out what our pilot program wants to look at and what direction it wants to take. And getting parents involved and other students involved is part of that process. You know, because something maybe they're doing in there they haven't thought of, and a parent or somebody comes in and sees us, hey, this would be great for this. I mean, we don't know what we don't know, right? So I think that
Who is selected to be a part of the cohort? I know, like, because it was originally 9th and 10th graders, I think was originally, like, that's what it was intended for. We got a letter during registration time. Hey, we're going to have this new cohort. If you're interested, here's some informational meetings. If you can't make them, reach out.
So I never got anything like that.
I didn't get a letter saying, here's informational meetings. I got a letter saying Sam was in the cohort.
So it's like, how was that information communicated? Who is, quote, eligible for it? Are there certain criteria for, I mean, there are some students where it's like they need a smaller setting, like those students need to be in a setting like that, and it's like, are they being identified after they've been floundering in?
We need written policy for how this
and
is.
it's a first year, so it's like going forward, right? Like we had a first year, continue it with clarity or with more structured wordsmithing about how that looks, but continue the cohort, and then it needs to be more developed.
So, okay, I guess.
So as far as the recommendation, that did happen. It was in concurrence, and like this is what we'd like to see going forward for this.
Yeah, concurrent beef up.
So recommendation number 6, ensuring a manageable caseload ratio, which is what you were talking about.
No.
That isn't what you were talking about with those
No, I'm saying
people
not.
at
I'm
Myers
saying.
Wilkins,
I'm saying not concurrent. Like, no, we did not meet. Like that was not met.
So they did add 2 positions, but they didn't adequately manage anybody's caseload.
They did. I've been told they did not add a position at the ALC or AU.
I think there's a position open. So I think there's 2 different things between funding and having and actually hiring. And what did those hiring efforts look like? It's like, oh, well, we funded and we created a position. It's like, okay, but did you just post it on the website?
I'm still going to put non-concurrent.
Yeah,
because they still
haven't
not
hired
manageable.
those.
I don't care.
Just because you have an open position and you haven't hired it, is that
But
enough
our
for
recommendation
concurrence?
was to ensure the manageable caseload ratio, and they have not done that.
Okay.
So non-concurrence.
And what does AEO stand for?
Academic Excellence Online.
Okay.
So as far as the recommendation that the Indigenous Commission wrote to the school board on caseload ratios, it is recommended by literature that it's 25 to 1. And I believe JP's was like 125 to 1 was his ratio. So I still think that we should use numbers from the literature and say we need to get that down to the 25 to 1 ratio. So you need to hire accordingly. What do you all think?
Hire and actually hire. Right now, these are just open.
I want to use the word hire and not post or create. We need to actually hire this.
Or fund, like fund and hire.
We do.
We have the
right,
funding.
like that was created. That was actually done.
So we need to hire. Hire is the next step. not, we can fund it.
Yeah.
We need to hire. So hire, I'll find the literature that said the ratio should be 25 to 1 and I'll attach it in that.
So would we have several liaisons at one school then? Because it would be based on the native students in the location?
Yeah.
It would be population
Yep.
based.
Okay.
Well, I think recently we did have the conversation about, was that Denfeld? I don't think it, within the last few months, about that a school has 100 kids, 100 indigenous students, and you have one staff, so it's like Denfeld. Are all of those students engaged? How much engagement is happening? Like, we may have some students who they check in once a year and they don't really want to work with the Indian Ed. We don't want to work, so it's like, I think some of it is looking at if we had more staff, would they be more willing?
I was gonna say, maybe it's because they know they're too busy for them.
Kind of like balancing. I mean, we need at least 2 staff at Denfeld.
Or they just don't connect with that staff person, right? And then it's,
So
that's
if you
a
have more
hard,
than one,
they
there's a
have
lot
an
of kids.
option.
Yep.
So when I met with JP, he had 8, 9 kids in his room when I first got there. And after the 2.5 hours, I mean, that room was full.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, he was ready to hang it up because he can't reach out to everybody.
Exactly.
He needed another body.
When I was in Dustin, he did another line too. He's got 100 students.
So I
And then
think
what's happening is you end up dedicating time, you triage, right? When you're overwhelmed, you triage. So it's like you've got students who are having attendance and behavior, and you're like, these students are actively and apparently struggling. So then you have students who are doing well, who deserve that support and relationship and nurturing, that are getting just kind of forgotten about because you have students who we're just trying to help you get through the day. We're trying to get you here. We're trying to mediate conflict.
so. What you're saying is they're putting out fires all day instead of actually building relationships, which
I mean,
isn't.
we could be explicit and say Denfeld have 2. Part of it could be Denfeld have 2 liaisons committed to school-wide, because if we say 2, then they'd be like, well, there are on paper 2 there, one's at the cohort. But we could even say that there are 2 school-wide liaisons at Denfeld. If we want to be like really specific, because I know that
You need more at Denville because the teachers, they utilize JP.
JP's all over that place. I walk in and I see him every time I walk in there, and I shouldn't
then
be
you
seeing
turn
him every time I walk in
turn
there.
around and
That
go
man
this
should be
way.
like a student, not
My first 15 minutes.
Like, how are you
there,
so
going down to the shop.
like he's like a chicken with his head cut off, and it shouldn't
like
be
how
like
then you
that.
turn around and who's the other way?
So
Like, didn't
I
you
still
see
think we should push this literature 25 to 1, because then that's going to force them to look at numbers and say, okay, the parent committee is really on us for this. They do have the funding. Let's do this. And then next year, if they haven't reached concurrence, we'll push it again.
Right.
Maybe we'll add more to it.
And I think even the premise of having one liaison at 2 different schools, it doesn't make sense.
Doesn't make sense at all.
It makes sense for the smaller, right? When we have kind of those schools where it's like Holmcroft, Congdon, Leicester, there's 1 or 2 students. Some years there's none, right? It doesn't make sense to have a person at those schools. But schools like Myers-Wilkins, they should have a full-time staff at that school. There is no reason that we should have to be splitting. And like, at one point, Piedmont and Lincoln were sharing the same coordinator, or the same liaison. Lincoln itself could support 2.
Yeah, they could.
Well, and even when Jamie was at Myers-Wilkins, she didn't really have an office.
No,
was
that's
allowed
another
to
one.
That's
of
we asked for space.
Yep.
Yeah,
we got that in the
that's
next
number
one.
8. That's number
And I
8.
still don't think they have dedicated space.
Well, they don't have there's not even a person there to dedicate a space to
So,
this year.
okay.
Can I just say something?
Yes.
It goes back to your professional development piece in a sense, because you have 90% white staff within the ISD 709, right? It's not clicking for people. As a white person, there's an investment that needs to be made. It's not being understood. So when you're talking about doing professional development again, like there's got to be like this understanding of it takes time, and it goes back to your relationships, of building, cultivating the relationships with Indigenous students and their staff. And so somehow articulating that, I don't know how you would get that across. I'm sure you have over and over, but if there's any way that as an organization we can help you. I'm going to say this, and I'll check with Leanne later, but I mean, that's part, like, that's what we're here. I mean, we want to see young people succeed, and like, so I just want to say that, like, when I'm listening to you, like, somehow writing in, it's like an investment, right? Like, you have to invest in not just the funding, like the actual humanity, the human time with these people. And you're stretching JP thin, and by that, that's an example of the need of that kind of attentiveness sometimes. That's right. So, I just wanted to say that. I'm not going to apologize. I think it's
Well, I can tell you with JP, my son never went to see him because he never had time for him, and my son has dropped out of school.
well, and that's
So-
what's happening. Like, so then people are like, well, nobody cares.
Well, and for some kids, like, all it takes is one person to, like, make a difference
Yeah.
between, you know, and I think having, I think, like, putting that literature about ratios.
Lay out best you can, just lay that out.
Well, I think we need to put in there
This
stuff
isn't
that they
just-
can't refute.
Well, this isn't
In
just us
addition
saying
to-
it. It's like
that's the
like
whole
this
thing.
is like evidence based. Like this is what kids need to. This is what is considered because what was the word we used? Manageable caseload ratio was the
25 to 1. Yeah.
You need to pull together data from somewhere else around, like, what that education performance on a national level, this is what they say, 15 students per,
hey buddy.
person.
Yeah.
Where's David?
Anyway, you can support that.
It shouldn't be just the liaison responsible for 125 kids. Literally all staff are supposed to be meeting the needs of these kids, and we're an invisible population. Somebody thinks, oh, that's somebody else's job to check on that kid, and it's not.
It's everyone's who is in that school responsibility.
Yeah, that's a good.
So number 7, are we ready to move on to number 7?
Yeah.
We recommend identifying a support person whose role it would be to collect and disseminate information regarding opportunities for scholarships, career training. And in here it says that they didn't get a grant, blah, blah, blah. Let's talk to homeschool liaisons. That's inadequate. I vote non-concurrence.
I vote non-concurrence, and this is something that was again brought up at tribal consultation last year on the March 4th consultation date. They flat out said that's a school counselor. That's the school counselor's job. Everything in there. Your school counselor should be working with your Native students, checking on your Native students, and identifying. Literally, they should have folders of these scholarships that they are actively providing to our Native students. That is not the role of Indian Education Department. That is exactly the role of a counselor within the school.
So does that then mean we should just take this out since it's the counselor's role? Or, I don't know, because I know that my daughter, when she graduated, I found out a week before she was to graduate that she was eligible to graduate. She graduated. They did nothing with scholarships, schools, nothing.
So when I read this, I see they were trying to hire a position specifically to target these kids. They didn't get the grant, so now they're not even requiring their counselors to do this. I think leaving it in there and saying our counselors within the school need to target our American Indian students, especially those in 11th and 12th grade, to ensure that they've made this career learning plan, that they are aware of the scholarship opportunities,
So
that
then
they're
that
aware of
shouldn't
their
say a
PSEO.
support person, we recommend
That-
ensuring that the school counselor
Yes,
does this?
that the counselors
Do we-
are targeting our American Indian students.
Do we agree that we should put this in here? Because I know my kids weren't.
What did the guidance department present on when we were at the cohort meeting? Can you remember what she was talking about? I was already checked out by then. I think she was last.
She was.
Yeah.
And by that time, the pasta brain set in. Was she the one talking about how the kids were getting extra credit and stuff for doing something?
Yeah.
Like they were ahead of their peers because they did something.
Mm-hmm.
But these were kids that were older. These weren't even the 9th graders. These were like the 11th graders that were in some class.
Yeah, but she was talking about career, some kind of career exploration.
I wasn't clear what she was actually talking about,
Yeah,
though.
I can't remember. Yeah, I could touch base with them too.
Could you do that? We should
Yeah.
put in here then,
'Cause we have to make sure that they,
recommend collaborating with Indian education, or should we put down the coordinator? Collaborating with coordinator?
So could this look like maybe the counselor having like actual time set aside for the Native students? Like, can they take time out of class to go and have a small assembly or something where it's like college, be outward bound, be
there's
present
money
programs,
available.
I think that
or
was
the-
part of our post-secondary stuff was like specific, well, that was more for parents. In the Indian education plan, when we talked about post-secondary, about like parents knowing about how to help their student with those things and how, like giving access, but I feel like, because they have scholarship night, right? Like why can't we have a specific,
Even a breakout session that targets
And
American
use the
Indian
vans
scholars.
and bring the kids.
and get our kids. Let's be specific. Tie these together.
remember those vans that we talked about in number 2?
Roll 'em out.
But if the counselors don't know what scholarships are available for the Native students,
This is where it comes back to professional development.
yeah,
Right.
it's not gonna go nowhere. I mean,
Amanda Horton might know a good place to connect those counselors with, because she did that huge Indigenous post-secondary thing. Was that last year? 2 years ago? That she took like a bunch of students but it's like, yeah, our guidance counselors should know what unique opportunities benefit our students. It's really not that hard. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be that hard.
It shouldn't be that.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Collaborating with Sheila, to identify our students and what opportunities and scholarships there are. Whether that's Sheila recommending, let's talk to Amanda Horton, whether that's what, they should be collaborating with Sheila.
Well, not only that, I believe UMD now has a tuition waiver. Augsburg University has a tuition waiver. Well, we all know Morris has a tuition waiver. So that's what our students.
All state. I thought it was all.
That's
It was
what
in
our families
all
need
of
to know.
Minnesota
That is
State.
exactly what they need to
Minnesota
know.
That's what they
State
need to know. So
colleges.
when they come in 9th grade, they know, okay, let's say I want to go to Morris. Okay, well, I got to make sure my transcript shows this, and then I need to take that ACT. I need to make sure my score is high enough, so because not only do you get the tuition waiver, but you still have to be able to gain the admission into the
meet the
university.
requirements, yeah.
You need to still meet the requirements, tuition waiver or not. So that's what our parents need to know. That's what our parents need to be getting their kids
Well,
ready for.
And different
exactly
scholarships
right.
that are available that are specific and unique to our students too.
Yep.
It's like we have, the North Star U of M, the Minnesota State colleges have the tuition waiver, but not all of our students want to stay in state, and there are scholarships that are unique to them.
And what is it, the Ethel Curry? Is that the one?
I think that's one of
That's
them.
one of them.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it's like, do our guidance counselors know this, or are they just kind of going, well, here's
Yeah, here's the
Here's
Jack
what we give
Moon.
everybody
Here's
else.
the
Here's-
White
here's-
Side. Here's
yeah.
the
Here's
Salt
the
Wick.
Duluth Superior Community Area
Yeah.
Foundation website. Go
Yeah.
have fun.
Yeah.
Figure out how to write a scholarship essay.
There's even tribal-specific scholarships. I know our tribe has it's called the Michelle Chingwa Grant, but I know there's other little Traverse Bay students, I'm sure, within, you know, the district.
Grand Portage has one.
Yeah.
And you only have to be a descendant. You don't even have to be enrolled.
So our counselors really should be paying attention to
Well, like-
where our kids are enrolled.
Well, like our kids, I know, they've all benefited from the Red Lake, the heck, Oshki, I can't even think of the rest of the name.
I know.
Oshki Majitada program, and they're getting $1,800 a semester. My kids have been, you know, they've taken advantage of that. So I mean, and that's been helpful.
You can't use something if you have no idea that it exists.
Yeah, and the only reason they do that because I said, hey, go on, you're a Red Lake band member. I said, I know they have this scholarship program. Apply for it. Yeah, it's 27 pages long, but do it.
Well, and
Worth
then,
it.
well, but
Yeah.
then here's the thing: the guidance counselor or like somebody like help them with that. Help them fill out those forms. Help them, and I think part of that the post-secondary is like having specific sessions for our students of like ACT, SAT, essay scholarship writing stuff like for our students, because when you look at some of those like prompts, it's like how can you take your Indigenous experience and apply that to like what's your greatest like because a lot of our kids don't think about those things as like really great amazing things because that's just my life, and I think there needs to be those kinds of resources for our students.
And that's one thing our parents need to know. I mean, look at Emma and Cadell. This is something that when they reach 11th grade, 12th grade, when it comes to senior time to start writing for those scholarships, they can say, "Oh, gee, I was a student rep for the AIPAC committee." That's something to work on your high school resume.
One thing that would be awesome for our student reps, once they get to graduation, we should really think about having a specific cord that they could wear to represent, like, hey, I served as a student rep. If for 1 year, have it be a red cord. If you served 2 years, you get a red. You could do, if you served all 4, you could have a red, white, yellow, and black cord. But it's like it's probably not an expensive thing, but it would improve that recognition and it would make kids want to be.
Right. We went, I don't know, Brenda, 5-6 years where we had no student reps. Part of it, we were in a pandemic, so it was just like day by day for everybody. But I don't think we have had student reps that the students that are here are not children of other members. Because the parents, we had some other parents, those kids are in college, adults now, but it was like, oh, well, I'm coming to the meeting, and like, we want your voice. You could be a student rep, which it's like, we have to. We could have more.
Yeah,
absolutely. And not that it's bad to have just the West Side, but like we have students who go to Ordine East, ALC.
Could have a rep from each school.
Where is that?
We could even have middle school reps.
Oh, well, Cadell's in middle school. That was one of the things, is it used to say high school.
I thought it still said high school.
We
Secondary.
changed it to secondary.
It was always secondary.
Okay.
Was it?
Okay.
But they consider middle school.
That was the big discussion.
Yeah.
What is
Yeah.
considered
Yeah.
secondary?
Yeah.
And we found out that middle school is
I
considered
didn't know
secondary.
that.
So
Well, I better get Sam in here.
Well, and it's something that it's giving our students voice. They have a place at the table. They feel included. They feel valued. Their opinions and experiences matter. And then they bring that information here, and then they see that reflected in the school, and they're like, my voice matters, and I can make change for myself and my peers.
And then it's practicing for when they move out of the school, how to like be at other tables like this, where you start to
Yeah, you learn to sit in this kind of setting, in the meeting
And
setting.
we had asked JP for a number of years to like, hey, can you identify any students? And he's like, I have tons of students, but then again, he's like, I have tons of students in mind, but then he's triaging. So we like could never circle back, and so it's like then once again another thing gets put to the wayside because we have a liaison who doesn't have time.
I think it would help if we maybe had one student from each like program or location, because then we could at least stagger the attendance too and say, hey, since you're here, can
what's happening at East.
Yeah.
Because your experience at one building is, I mean, the experience even between like Denfeld and Lincoln is a completely different,
Oh, definitely.
you know, East and Denfeld, different ALC. Like those students have even more unique needs.
You could be a rep.
Some of these kids are busy and maybe they might not be able to make a meeting, and then someone else could step
Get an
in. And
alternate, yeah.
yep.
All right, should we move on to number 8?
Yeah.
Recommend reserving dedicated space. So I'm pretty sure that we don't have dedicated space in some of these buildings, and we don't even have a liaison. So
Although they said it's complete.
since they've been identified, that doesn't
Quote,
equivalent to reserved. So it says they've been identified, but it doesn't say they've been reserved.
Well, I think the biggest person that this specifically referred to was Jamie, is because she literally just
She
like
had a
in
cart.
She had a cart where.
But there's nobody there now, right?
Well, but that's what I'm saying. So maybe they did identify a space, and if there was a liaison there, they could be using it, but there's nobody there. So I'm not saying this is concurrent, but I'm saying they could make the argument of like, well, we have the space. There's just no one there.
I've been told there's no space at Myersville.
They're
for
kicking
her.
people
She's-
out of
It would
spaces
be
at
that's just
Myersville
like,
right
I'll just
now.
be sitting in the hallway.
Did Susanna say she had a room closet?
Yeah.
That's what I heard. Yep.
Small, it's big enough for a desk, 2 chairs and her file cabinet.
So that comes down to, we haven't been giving those what am I calling this? Walkthroughs, those walkthrough opportunities to actually see the spaces that they're saying they have. We have no idea what they are, what they look like. I think I was in JP's office the other day, which is his office in the auditorium space? Is that, or does he have an
No,
actual office
he's-
somewhere? Okay.
On the second floor.
Okay.
It's L-shaped,
Okay,
It's
so I
all
haven't
second
actually
floor.
even seen that space.
It's just like kind of like an L. Just
Okay.
Like right when you walk into the door, then he has like a little area for like the kids on like.
Okay.
next to it.
Okay.
I think Lincoln's about twice the size.
Okay.
I was
Which is
gonna
perfect
ask what
because
Dustin's space looks like.
You don't have 30 kids at once.
He has a whole spot board in there and there's that big table. for everyone to
Nice.
sit.
Okay.
So there's some spots that do have adequate space and others that don't.
So here's what
Yeah, and the schools
I'm
are busting out too.
Yeah.
Like,
hearing. So
Where you going?
in this, they say they have dedicated spaces identified. We never got a walkthrough. We do not know what these spaces are, and we do not know if they're actually
I'm gonna go
reserved for
supervise that.
American Indian homeschool liaisons. So I am going to say that I think it's non-concurrence because we don't even know where or what these spaces are because we haven't been told.
And do we still have inventory in the basement at the moment, or where is that being moved to?
From where?
From the basement of the Duluth News Tribune? Where are we?
oh, we have a storage unit that's being moved. They're moving it, I don't know when. They moved some stuff already.
Oh, so they're moving it for us?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We didn't have to rent a moving truck or,
That's good.
yeah.
And then,
But we have to be patient.
are you gonna do the inventory then by yourself or what?
No, we didn't have time to table it on the last meeting, so
Oh, okay.
we need somebody to help with all the cataloging and,
We should maybe order some boxes.
yeah. I was gonna pick some up, the yellow lid ones, big, yeah, those plastic ones.
Just wondering, who's paying for the storage space? Is that a district cost out of the general fund, or is that coming out of our AIE funds, Title VI funds?
I was hoping Title VI,
Okay.
yeah.
So do we all agree that this is non-concurrence because they never gave us the information after they said that they did it?
Yeah, we don't even know.
We don't know.
All it says is complete.
Yeah, we don't know. So we're gonna say non-concurrence, and we're gonna ask for those details then.
Show us the spaces.
Show us the money. All right, number 9. We recommend dedicating district resources to directly support our kids, attendance, academics. Okay, well, I think that is in the last stuff that we've been talking about already. supplement the district plan goals. So,
Well, I mean, there's no longer fit. They don't have that.
I think we need to have more support staff that are going to be able to help in the immersion environment as well, because they can't have an English-speaking support there.
well,
Right,
per
'cause
how
they
we're
can't
allowed to
work
spend
with-
our money, if we're gonna do that, we need to have more American Indian students there, or the district is gonna have to pay for like
Oh,
90% of that
That's
person.
right. That's
Yeah.
right.
So that's the way that's gonna have to work if we recommend that.
Yeah.
Okay, it's either gonna have to be like 90% of the kids there are gonna have to be American Indian, or the district is gonna have to be like 90% of paying that person's wage, and then we can supplement that 10 to 13%.
Right.
So I don't have a problem with either of those.
I
I
just
just-
wonder how many of our American Indian students are actually being targeted by these interventionists. Do we have that data?
That's Nate's department.
So this is
'Cause he's-
So I understand they have many interventionists throughout the district, but I don't know how many of those interventionists are actually targeting our American Indian students. If you guys recall when in the November meetings, when they were talking Check and Connect, and they kind of showed us that graph, and primarily the students who were getting that Check and Connect support were non-native, non-BIPOC, and that's where the majority of those interventionists were focusing, and not trying to target our American Indian students, which is how I read our recommendation. Like, who in the district is targeting, and how are they targeting our kids? And the response is like, yeah, you have interventionists. I know you do. How are they targeting our kids? How are they making sure that their caseloads include our kids as a priority?
Yeah, and is that the interventionist, is that like when a student is in the plan documented intervention stage of possibly going to be evaluated for special ed services?
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, and are they culturally competent?
Are they culturally competent? That is a good...
Right? Like
Yes.
working with our
Good
students, there's different ways you communicate. There's different values, there's different incentives, there's different,
Tying that into the PD.
Yep. It's not just teachers, it's all the stuff, it's like, it's specific, but then it's appropriate for our youth. You may not, because it will probably
Checking the
does.
school attendance, and we saw when they did show us the attendance data, our kids are dropping off immediately after 5th grade. We're losing them attendance-wise once they enter middle
Do
school.
not go out
I
that
talked
door.
to the principal of Denfeld, and I told him that my theory is based on evidence. There are papers about the fact that as soon as kids hit middle school age, so kids of color especially, they are looked at as adults, whereas kids that are white are still looked at as little kids. So I told him, I said, you walk into a room and this tall native kid, tall black kid gets in trouble, and they're talked to like they're an adult. They should know better. They're already guilty. Compared to this white kid, same thing, only he's talked to like he's still a child and still deserves the benefit of the doubt. I said, who do you think's going to come to school? Who do you think's coming to school the next day? And he's like, oh my God, I've never heard of this before. I'm like, well, then you better start reading on the literature, because this is true. This happens to our kids.
I saw an Anton Troyer did a clip of a speech that said, when we are in fight or flight, when we are in defense mode, what's our response? Fight or flight. When we have kids who don't go to school, fight, that's obvious. Flight, truancy.
Yeah.
Why would you be in a space where you are not reflected, respected, and represented? Why would I want to be here? And if I don't feel safe and accepted here, fight or flight. I'm gonna leave. Why would I want to learn about my own genocide?
And I think here's part of the issue is like many indigenous people, are just in constant fight or flight. That's survival.
Well, I think that's that cultural.
And that's that piece of like that knowledge doesn't get circulated very much in that understanding.
Well, not only that, people don't realize some of these kids, if anybody in a high stress mode. I could be already sitting here idling at 60 miles an hour, you know, and all of a sudden something, boom, you know, and there you go. Oh my God, you know, some people are just barely holding it in. And
It's like, oh, they're not paying attention. It's like, well, when was the last time they had a meal?
Yep.
Right?
Slept.
Like, or slept. And I think culturally responsive might be a better, because can you truly be competent in somebody else's culture? Culturally, I don't know if like culturally responsive might be.
Responsive is a better word.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever heard Mary Owen, but she gets mad if somebody says competent. Like,
That's why when I said that, and I'm like, no, that's old language. That is.
It is old language.
And then even it's so true with you look at the data on the school to prison pipeline for our kids. I mean.
And that's the suspensions, and that's the.
Yep.
I think it goes back to what Elsie brought up. It's like shifting the narrative, because there's a lot of wisdom, a lot of assets in this area, and like there's a lot of treatment that has been carried out. So it's to lift that up more and more, and like you got students here, and like highlighting that and being like, yeah, and then that starts to gain traction as to it's a lot of work. I mean, there's just a lot of work ahead, but I think to your point of like there's a lot of beauty and a lot of wisdom. The young people are ready. Like when they have that moment of like, I just think of like sitting at around the drum, all those young people, like even when we were at Denfeld, they all of a sudden start to come and sat at that after school program, and you just feel like they're lifted in something. And so it's not the competency, it's like actually having the values embedded in the school. And that goes back to health, like that's health.
So I just had an idea here. So we're saying we want them to dedicate resources directly. And one of the things that we've done is make it so that kids can do some of their attendance recovery here at Denfeld. Or not at Denfeld, Jesus Christ. Here at ACO. Sorry guys. It's getting late. Why don't we enhance that?
And I think it was the vice principal was here and said, I think we have something here to make it a lot better here than we have at school.
Because this is their safe place compared to being at school.
That's exactly what I said.
She could have asked me.
So,
I'm so glad that's moved forward. That's
like,
actually so awesome.
I think alternative attendance recovery options.
I think that we should do an AEO option here. Because you have this space. You have that. I think that we should try for that. Because I think that if Sam was in the company of other kids, he might be able to do that. Because I know if he just did it on his own at home, there's no way.
Well, he needs body doubling.
He needs to be around his own people. He needs to hear interaction.
Small groups.
Community.
Like AEO student, it's like, I mean, down at ALC they have like that independent study where you can come and work together. But it's like if that could be created here, where it's like we have students who are doing ALC or AEO, and from these days from this time to this time.
Do you think ACO would be up for that? Like collaborating with the school district?
He's like, I can't say yes, but I can say yes.
I can say yes, because part of our funding and focus is really around the health of young people.
So why don't we put that in our recommendation?
Yeah.
Collaborate further.
And I think it goes back, they feel valued.
Yeah.
Right? When you feel valued.
To create.
And we can get him here with those vans.
A robust
Nailed it.
education. No, opportunity that mirrors
I think you have to be
AEO, ALC, and use those vans. Okay, it's in there.
C number 2. C section 2.
And number 2. Okay, do you guys like the way this sounds? If we put this in here, does everybody agree that this sounds okay? Do you want to add anything to it?
Can you read
Brenda,
that?
are you still with us? end in 11 minutes. So, is there any way we can
log off and try again.
Can I send you another Google link right now?
Go to the settings
I know damn well none like if you go down the district office, ever. I can't even hardly drag them in there,
Right
they
now,
just
it's
drag.
right now it's the tech village.
Yeah, they
What
won't
an
go in there.
unwelcoming,
I can say
like,
I had to drag Emma in there for her to graduate to
like
get
an
all that stuff.
unwelcoming space and environment is that for any student. It's for them like our students, where it's like if they could, do AEO classes and then have a space here to do that.
Sorry, you're connected.
Students, how does that sound to you? If you were able to take classes here and get credits and do credit recovery here, would you be interested in that?
Like taking an online.
Do an online class with a couple of the kids and it's up on the screen.
They had one yesterday. Credit recovery. Or it was credit recovery, right?
Yeah, I was down here.
Yeah.
I was here with Sam.
Oh.
Remember more kids like you?
Yeah. All kinds of brain breaks, but they never took it. They're all focused.
Oh, wow.
All right, keep going.
So those students really enjoyed that time.
Yeah, and then we brought in a traditional speaker, and they had somebody share, and we got food for them afterwards.
So, okay, I think we should expand on that then. It was a success, I think we should keep doing that.
Yeah.
All right, let's put that in our plan, because this other stuff is supplanting.
Well, and it's not culturally specific to what our students actually need. Just offering them the same thing.
But if we're gonna be using our funds, then that ends up being a supplanting thing. So we
Right.
want it to be over and above and culturally specific, so we're gonna do that. All right. Let's see, we recommend district funding to create 2 American Indian curriculum, academic integration specialists. The coordinator's been doing a great job. What?
So,
So they,
curriculum integration specialist. So they've hired that. Okay, so what they're describing here is the Ojibwe language and culture coordinator, but that is not a.
Which is Akwayashi.
That is not a academic or integration specialist.
yeah, that's not that though. Yeah.
2 American Indian curriculum academic and integrations. But are they saying that's like one person does all those things? Yeah. Or are they saying an American Indian
We asked for 2.
Do we ask for two?
Separate, and then they said the coordinator's been doing it. That's not
a new position.
that's not even one new position.
Yeah. And then the Ojibwe language courses are required by statute.
That's not accurate.
So that's not
adequate
a
either.
that's not an that's not a ISPEC who specifically serves American Indian students. So our Ojibwe language and culture coordinator position does not serve only Indian students, right? Because those courses are for anyone. Our Ojibwe language courses are, again, open to anyone. And these are things the district does provide, but I think they're not what we're specifically asking for.
Yeah.
I think we were asking for a district-funded position that actually targets our American Indian students.
So are we going to vote non-concurrence?
Yeah, I think they're just trying to
Yeah.
weave their way around it.
They're like, we did this. We'll say it fits that.
Mm-hmm.
Need someone specifically for our students.
Well, curriculuming academic, like specialists. So it's like, is that like somebody who's developing curriculum for the district? Or is that somebody who's working with teachers to develop curriculum in their classes? Because then that wouldn't be just for our